So with the brand new Transformers line for 2025 leaked, and having arguably the most confusing name ever, like I get what they were going for, but this clearly needs some oversight. We know that the big thing about this new line is that we're going to be getting all of the original 13 primes. And I am so hyped. Granted, I'm going to need to put up a third shelf now, so thanks a lot, Hasbro. But this will be the first time we've ever gotten all 13 primes. So shamelessly copying TJ Omega's style video, I am going to be counting down just how many primes there really are, because it's definitely more than 13. So before we begin, let me lay down some ground rules as to how we're going to be doing this. So the rules that I'm going to be using are: number 1, no repeating characters. Only one iteration of the character, because if not, we'd be here all day, and this list would be pretty much nothing but Optimus Primes. Number 2 is that they have to be canon to that continuity. Random toys or characters labeled Prime with no canonical lore will not be counted. No obscure stuff. Only primes most people have heard of, so no Euro G1, no Japanese stuff, because most of us have not seen Euro G1, most of us have not seen Japanese stuff, so those would be considered obscure primes. No wishy-washy characters, only characters that are commonly accepted as being made a prime, so Hot Rod being made Rodimus Prime, for example. Unless they're consistently made into a prime in numerous continuities, then they do not count. I am talking about a character that got turned into a prime for one episode or one issue of a comic. Essentially, if that character gets made prime for a day, they are not getting counted. And no, Nemesis Prime does not count either. And finally, characters from alternate universes will not count either. So, without any further ado, let's start with, of course, the original 13. So I'll admit right now, I don't remember the exact order that the primes were built in. All I remember is that Prima was the first one because, well, they're the first. They were the first Transformer, they were the first prime made by Primus. Number 2 on the list is Megatronus Prime, or Megatronus, or as we all know him as, the Fallen. Number 3 is Alpha Trion, followed by number 4, everyone's favorite transforming Time Lord, Vector Prime. After that is number 5, the first combiner, Nexus Prime. Number 6 is everyone's favorite hammer-wielding Transformer. Okay, everyone's second favorite hammer-wielding Transformer. Okay, fine. A hammer-wielding Transformer, Solus Prime. Number 7 is Loki ripoff Liege Maximo, followed by number 8, McAdam from Cyberverse, otherwise known as Alchemist Prime. Number 9 is the first Beast Transformer, Onyx Prime, followed by number 10, the first Minicon, Micronus Prime. 11 is Quintus Prime, followed by number 12, Amalgamus Prime. And let's just say the Hasbro toy design team really has their work cut out for them. And of course, Optimus Prime. But what about the others? Starting with everyone's favorite Prime that we love to hate, Sentinel Prime. He's one of the newest to bear the Prime rank, yet he was created to predate Optimus, so really, he is the 13th Prime, and Optimus is 14. I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, but if we're going to be counting Sentinel as the predecessor to Optimus, then he is the 13th. And then there's the Prime that every G1er hates and blames for the death of his predecessor, Optimus, Rodimus Prime, making our count 15. How about a crazy one? How about the planet himself? Yup, I'm talking about Primus. Not to be confused with Prima. Primus is the planet Cybertron itself, and essentially the first Transformer. And I know some of you are going to scream at me saying, no, Prima is the first Transformer and Prima is the first Prime. According to canon, yes. But let me ask you this. If Primus himself is a Transformer that turns into the entire planet and gave life to all Transformers, then I'm sure that makes him the first everything. Okay, maybe not the first combiner, that goes to Nexus Prime, but he is pretty much the first of everything. Now, his continuity gets really weird really fast, much like some of the other Primes on this list, but since in many depictions of Transformers canon, he is the creator of the 13 Primes, then that would technically make him the true first Prime, making our count, by technicality, 16. The reason I included Primus as a technicality is because if I were to use the excuse that he created the Transformers, then that would mean I'd also have to count the Quintessons as a Prime. Yeah. There are some honorable mentions I'd like to address. For example, in the cancelled Season 4 of Transformers Animated, we would have been introduced to Bumble Prime, or Bumblebee Prime. Though I'm not sure if this episode would have been considered canon or not. And then there's Nominus Prime from the IDW comics, who is an obscure Prime who was the successor to Nova Prime and came before Sentinel Prime. And then there's Primon, the oldest known Matrix bearer and predecessor to Prima. Like I said, Transformers lore is super contradictory. Speaking of contradictions, I know I'm breaking my own rules because they're all pretty obscure, but I still thought they were worth mentioning, hence why I put them in the honorable mentions and not actually counting them. I'm sure there's more that I'm missing, like some Japanese primes, but I never watched any of the Japanese shows, and I'm willing to bet that a majority of the audience watching this hasn't either. That, and I know that if I tried, I'd only end up getting extremely confused as to what is going on. So there you have it. 16 primes. In order, starting with the big guy himself, who created the other primes and all other Transformers, to Rodimus Prime. Yeah. I'm sorry. I really doubt Hasbro is planning on making a new Cybertron or Primus anytime soon, unless they plan on making him the next HasLab, which they might, honestly. So get ready for yet another Optimus Prime, another Rodimus Prime, and for the first time ever, all of the original 13 Primes. But also, get ready to consistently have an empty wallet and having to scramble to make room on your shelves. But most importantly of all, let's all pray that Daddy Hasbro actually does a good job making sure these get into stores so we can buy them this time, and not have to rely on 40-year-old balding men on eBay selling them for drastically marked up prices.